We are back. There is Animal Alboreto right ahead of the leading GT car number 83. I believe it is. Is it Lewis Lohr or Dirk Mueller in that?
I think Dirk Mueller is still in it, yes. He just took over from Bob Wallach, who got out about 45 minutes ago.
And there is a typical Le Mans site. I mean, you just have to catch a couple of winks whenever you can. These boys have been up for more than 24 hours. They run on adrenaline, but when the sun comes up, and it's hot as it is now, it's really hard to stay awake all the time.
That was the Team Dragon TV Asahi team, and they are currently lying in 6th. But of course, they're humming right along and making up ground rapidly on that Cadillac that is stopped. So they, in fact, are on the same lap now, I think, as the stopped Cadillac. So they're about to assume the 5th position.
So we are back, and this is the number 8 Audi. Tom Christensen behind the wheel brings it in. They are the leaders, and our leader is down there, Calvin.
Tom Christensen brings the lead Audi in, and it looks like it's going to be a routine stop. Fuel only, should be just under 30 seconds. They check and inspect the tires. They have a little flashlight. They go in underneath the tail of the car. The Michelin tire engineers are here as well. Again, just waiting for that vent pipe. Should be a routine stop for Tom. He may probably do a triple here. He's been known to do 4 at a time, so he's a very healthy young lad. Obviously from Denmark, one here on his very first attempt with the Yost, trying to go for 2, but he's going to have to beat Alan McNish. He's like a pit bull, and when they release him in that number 9 car, he may be able to chase Tom down.
And of course, this is the driving team that won Sebring a couple of months ago, so they have extreme confidence in themselves and in this car. They have this 1-lap lead right now over their teammates in the number 8 car, Abt, Alboreto, and Capello. Capello has celebrated his 36th birthday yesterday, so he is 36 years and 1 day right now.
And coincidentally, the lead car is the only Audi that has not been off the road.
Aha.
Nish's car was the first one to have serious mechanical problems, and coincidentally, he was off the road earlier. Christian Abt went off the road. He says it was lightly, however, they also had to change the complete back end of that car. So Vila, Christensen, and Pirro have not been off the road, and lo and behold, they lead by 1 lap.
And that is the key over and over to winning Le Mans, is to somehow put together an uneventful run. It's not the brilliance of the run. That rarely figures in it. It's the guy that has nothing go wrong that wins this race.
That's right, and one of the cars that has quietly crept up the leaderboard here is the number 23 Panos car. That is the Team Dragon car with an all-Japanese driver lineup. And Andrew, can you update us on them?
Yeah, well, we just mentioned winners there, and actually there's a winner in this garage already. Remember about 4 or 5 years ago, the McLaren, the black Ueno Clinic McLaren, was driven by J.J. Leto, Yannick Damas, and a man called Masanori Sakaya. Well, I just can't see him at the moment, but Sakaya is the director of this team, and that's perhaps why they're doing so well. They've got some very good team management in here.
Andrew, remember
Calvin is up at the 2nd place car.
Well, Loren Aiello brings the number 9 machine. I believe he's going to stay in. I do not see Alan McNish in the pit area. And this should just be the same as the Christensen car. They're really on the same sync right now. Should be doubles or triples for these boys. And Loren is, I believe, on his 3rd run here. He got the car from Mortelli about a couple of hours ago. And they're just going to be looking at fuel. I did not see any tires available or at the ready, so they're obviously giving that the thumbs up. They're just looking at fuel. I would imagine, though, that Alan McNish may be being saved to try and do the last couple of hours or so. Good start for the number 9 car. A little delay getting out, but he's okay.
The number 9 car on the same lap, just barely, as the leading number 8. So there is not, there is every opportunity, with the time remaining for that car, to catch up and to give us a thrilling finish. Every opportunity. By the way, I wanted to just speak to the longevity of the Japanese drivers. If you recall, last year, it was the Japanese trio which brought Toyota very, very close to victory at the last minute. They hung back in the early going, and through the middle of the race, came on strong. The race came back to them. They almost won it.
As we slip away to break here, I just want to apologize to our viewers at home. We lost our transmission there very briefly. Our pictures do come from the French TV World Feed. We do apologize. We are back, and that is the Courage that is in 4th place in front of one of the Vipers. We have had a change in the GTS category because Andy Pilgrim in the number 64 Corvette was chasing down the Chrysler number 53. He has passed him. We saw them in a dynamite pit stop contest between the two teams. The Viper still led out, but the Corvette has managed to pass him. He is only running half a second a lap ahead of him on the lap charts, but it is now Viper leading GTS, Vet, Viper.
Terrific.
Yeah.
The very battle we expected, except that it's further up overall than one might have thought. 8th, 9th, and 10th are the places occupied by the cars that you just mentioned. Interesting, in the last 20 years, 8 different makes have won this race. This would be the 9th in 21 years if Audi hangs on. You know, when you think of the Audi's performance in terms of history, there have only been 3 other makes ever to finish 1, 2, 3, and they all had more experience prior to their 1, 2, 3 finish in the race than Audi. Audi is producing a phenomenal performance.
Well, absolutely, because when the Porsche came 1, 2, 3 in 1983, they had first won it in 1970.
Yeah.
So they'd already been winning the thing practically every year between 1970 and 1983, and they had a 1, 2, 3. And of course, typical, they would finish 1, 2, 3 with their brand new car because Fitzpatrick and I were 4th.
And don't worry, Porsche will be back. They're here with the junior team in an official capacity this year. But to give you an idea, Porsche holds the record for number of wins at Le Mans at 16. Ferrari have won 9 times here. Jaguar have won 7. Matra remains the best French representative with 3 wins. That was 72, 3, and 4. Bugatti and Peugeot 2 wins apiece. And believe it or not, the Renault car company have only ever won here 1 time.
That Peugeot win, however, the second one, was a 1, 2, 3.
Okay, and the Renault, I don't remember, but I think Gerard Larousse ran the car and Didier Pironi was one of the drivers. I believe, because they had a huge assault.
1975.
Was it 75?
Yeah.
A huge assault on Le Mans that year.
But what is interesting, at the beginning of the show, you and Greg Creamer were talking about the sound of Le Mans.
Yeah.
How it was becoming American. American engines are running 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th.
Yeah, and they're the loudest.
So all you need to do is get rid of an Audi, an Audi, an Audi, and a Peugeot.
And an American engine could win. And when I had a rest this morning while poor old Greg and Danny were working their guts out here in the middle of the night, I was lying in bed downtown, and you could definitely hear those American engines humming away through the night in the distance.
And it was a wonderful sound.
And it was a wonderful sound.
But here is an American engine car.
This is the prototype Chrysler.
Through the night.
This is nothing but a test session. In fact, I'm surprised this car has gone as far as it has. We lost one of these cars very early in the race.
Lap 2, in fact.
Yeah, quick update. The engine in this car is a World of Outlaws aluminium block. It started life as that as we watched Michele Alboreto come in. John Caldwell from Caldwell Development in San Diego is building that car as we watch the number 73 911 roll down here. This is the Fukuyama, Yogo, and Lambert car, and that car was actually rolled on Friday, and they repaired it.
Friday night.
Yeah.
So they had a busy day, Thursday night.
Here's Animal Alboreto, and I believe we have our Calvin down there.
Yes, I am, Derek. Looks routine once again for the Yost team, and you get kind of tired of saying that, but there just seems to be so few problems with this R8 car. It's a phenomenal machine. Michele Alboreto will stay in the car. Fueling is done. They refire it, and that was very, very quick once again.
Well, Calvin, one of the extraordinary things about the Yost team is that they have 4 mechanics that have been with the team since its inception 25 years ago. I mean, that shows loyalty, and it shows the degree of continuity in that team. I mean, no wonder they have such a basis for success. They have people that have been around forever, know how Reinhold Jost thinks, and know how to bring along the new members of the team. It was a strong core that Audi was able to graft their personnel into without any loss of continuity.
Who was that we just got to look at?
We just got to look at somebody. It looked like
a Cadillac to me.
So,
yes,
yeah,
it is a Cadillac.
He was backwards, wasn't he?
Well, he paused.
It does.
He may have thought there was
it sounds like an exhaust pipe.
Perhaps he thought there was a toll booth there.
Calvin, you are our workhorse, mate. You're now where, with the 64 Corvette?
Yes, I am, and they're in that classic battle with the Vipers. The 64 cars had fewer problems than the 63. 63 did have to change a transmission in the night, drop them back. The 63 car has been marginally quicker. In fact, I think they ran very close to their qualifying time, 3:58, with Fellows behind the wheel. But Andy Pilgrim has led Kelly Collins, Frank Freon into contention in the GTS battle. And Andy is now turning it over to Kelly Collins. He's here for the very first time, done a tremendous job. Andy's been here a couple of times before. He's talking through the window net right now, giving Kelly an update on the car. The fueling has been done. They're now working on the final tire over on the right front. The car's back on the ground, and he's going to be taking it back on track. I'll try and get a word with Andy in a moment.
Great. Kelly Collins takes it out. Never been here before. Unusual ex-motocross, an off-road dune buggy racer. I remember a certain Rick Mears that had a background like that. What a remarkable success he had. Here's a quick Bo Peep at what happened to Cadillac. David, locked with the rear brakes.
Wow, going into Arnage. Got it all wrong.
Got away with it.
50 years ago, millionaire sportsman Briggs Cunningham wanted to win Le Mans in an American car. He began his quest with a stock, factory-fresh V8 Cadillac. Cunningham's team also took along a radical new weapon, a rebodied Cadillac Roadster called Le Monstre. Believe it or not, this was designed by an aerodynamicist. Even though the Cadillacs made a big impression, it was to be 50 years before that manufacturer would return to Le Mans. Their tune-up program began at Daytona, where the new machines made their debut. Although they were fast and a Cadillac Northstar LMP actually led the race for a while, the inevitable problems of introducing new cars and new gearboxes in a 24-hour race eventually took its toll. At Sebring, the problems continued when Andy Wallace crashed without injury. But the other Riley and Scott Cadillac, driven by Taylor, Vanderpoel, and Angelelli, did make it to the end, finishing 6th, 29 laps behind the winning Audi.
Well, the USA, led by General Motors, really have had a huge presence here. Their pace car, the STSI, has been used many times here, particularly early in the race. But America well represented here this weekend, particularly in the GTS battle. The Corvette number 64 is right behind in the thick of the GTS battle, and Andy Pilgrim is right in the middle of it.
And boy, do they have a battle going, Derek. Andy, that looked like a lot of fun out there in the pits. The teams worked within split seconds of one another on that stop. Got you in the car. You went out and really went hammer and tong with a 53.
Yeah, I don't know who was in 53, but it was a real... I'd like to find out who it was. It was a really good battle after 21 hours of racing. We're doing sprint car stuff. He gave me a real good draft in the first stint when I lost him coming out of the pits. The second time, because I got into someone at the hairpin, unfortunately, I couldn't get his draft anymore, but he was coming back to me at the end. He was very strong at the beginning, and then he'd come back to me at the end. So I could see him coming back to me, and then he pitted a couple of laps early, which I don't know why. So
seems like you're having such a good run in this vet. Very first time here, you came over, ran well in April, and come back, and you boys are prepared.
Well, you know, what can you say? I mean, this Corvette team of, you know, all these guys, I mean, they just deserve so much credit. I mean, it's a team effort. The drivers have to do their part, the crews have to do their part, and the Corvette is just running like a top. It's awesome.
Superb job, Andy. Let's go down to Andrew Marriott.
Yeah, well, we know that that man comes from Nottingham, and he says he's American. Now, I've got Tony Burgess here. I thought he came from Toronto. Tony, you're English.
I'm English. I am from Toronto. Canadian, actually.
Canadian now. Well, now just tell us, you've done 3 Daytona 24 hours, but you're here at Le Mans for the first time, I think. How are you finding it?
Well, this is a very different race from Daytona. You know, just the fact that you start at 4 in the afternoon means you race all day on Sunday. So we see now we're into the latter stages of the race, and we still have to go to 4 o'clock. We'd already would have parked the car at if we were at Daytona.
Now, what about this team here with Max Cohen-Oliver, who's raced here hundreds of times before and backed by this Morocco football bid, and Michael Neugarten, who's a very professional racing driver. How are you getting on with this sequel team?
Well, Max is a great guy, and he's got a load of experience. Our lead driver, Michel Neugarten, is our fast driver, and it's up to Max and I to keep the car safe and go as fast as we can. But Max is a great guy, and he never makes a mistake.
And Tony, that's also what you've been doing. Well done.
Thanks.
Somebody else in trouble here. That's the number 59 car. That's Kaufman Hain and Aikitani. They are running 6th in the GTS category, and yet another puncture. As you watch our full field rundown, we still have 32 cars running
out of 48 starters, which is an extraordinarily high average.
327 hard, grueling laps. We have seen so many cars that went off the road and scooped up this gravel. Then they continue on, dump it all over the racetrack. Then cars run over it, get punctures, blow up the tires, throw that debris all over the place. Then they crash into each other, throw that debris all over the place. And they've had to cope with this all night, all day, and all night long here.
And of course, that debris has got to be swept up. And Joe Collins emails us, are the corner workers getting enough sleep and relief as the drivers are? And Joe, the answer quickly is, no, they're not. They have teams of course workers, but they are very much overworked here, as they are almost everywhere, and it's a very tough job indeed to have, and a very dangerous one here, particularly during the hours at night.
Believe it or not, Joe, 4,000 people here work free of charge every year at the Le Mans 24-hour race, in addition to 2,000 people temporarily employed for this week. We are back. The man in your picture is the Pirelli shod Panos car. Is this the same guy still trying to make his way back?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Remember, this track is just over 8.5 miles around, and if you were so unlucky as to have a flat early in the game, you've got some long drive ahead of you.
Long way to go.
Negotiating the Porsche curves there. He's still about 3/4 of a mile from home.
This is the number 59 car, the Freisinger Motorsports 911. It is in the GTS category. Kaufman, Hain, and Aikitani.
Look at this. He had the presence of mind to put on his directional signal. Good morning from Canada, emails Alan Crouch. I'm curious to know whether the cars are made to conform to technical or mechanical rules and what post-race inspections they are subjected to. Boy, oh boy, are they ever made to conform to rules. Le Mans rule book is thick as can be, and the pre-race technical inspection can take as much as a day to go through. An agonizing process, and yes, there's a definite post-race inspection as well.
And the rules change every year as well, just to make it even more exciting.
And part of the charm and the character of the Le Mans 24-hour race is that the technical inspection, or scrutineering as they call it over here, does not take place at the racetrack. You have to take it downtown, and it is a huge, almost festival as the cars are unloaded.
And the reason for that is just the proximity of wine, because
it's in Cathedral Square. It's
so frustrating to go through tech inspection here.
Wow, look at all that rubber on the track there.
Look at this.
Great lumps of rubber there being thrown up by the two Panos cars.
A classic shot of the Panos, which has challenged the Audi.
And the number 8 car.
Sorry, one Panos, one Audi.
Yeah, the number 8 car. That is the lead car that just ran over all that debris. And that was huge chunks of rubber. We saw Dorsey Schrader hold up about 2 pounds of rubber earlier on that gathers up inside the bodywork of these cars, gathers up to the point where it's so heavy it drops off, and it can only go out onto the racetrack.
Well, if you remember at Sebring, Dorsey himself ran over that chunk of rubber that was enough to lift the back of the car up and spun him around at the hairpin.
And the interesting point about it was, as one of the... Is that Mario? That looks very like Mario.
It does look like Mario.
Maybe
Mario, who for one brief moment ran second, but at 2:40 in the morning, ran second.
And look at this, a drag race now down into the braking zone of this very first chicane. This is the Motorola chicane. They go through it at about 60, 70 miles an hour. It is Mario Andretti. He is behind the wheel. The number 11 car, they were as many as 40 laps down. Serious transmission problems with that car. As soon as Mario got in the middle of the night to do a double stint, David Brabham led the race early in this car, really mixed it up with the Audis. They appear to be a tiny bit quicker than the Audis in a straight line. You see the Panos tucked right up behind the Audi, but in the braking zones, this Panos car, because of the aerodynamic changes, the rule changes that David mentioned just a minute ago, the Panos car has never been a happy motor car since they got here. unstable in high-speed corners, unstable in braking, just does not give the driver the type of confidence you need.
The other night we were out watching practice on Thursday down where they brake for Indianapolis, coming out of that very fast no-name right-hander. Boy, oh boy, the front end of those cars look twitchy. When it looks twitchy from the outside, you can't imagine what it must feel like on the inside.
You know, this is a delight for Mario, because although he's out of it as far as a chance to win, or appears to be racing again and to have no reason to hold back. I mean, he's making up ground and able to hang on there. I think he's doing a beautiful job.
Only 32 laps behind now. There's that rubber still lying on the track, so these guys have almost got to pick their way through that. Looking at Michele Albretto, previous winner here with Yost. Won 5 Grand Prix, including the US Grand Prix at Detroit in the Tyrrell.
The Ferris wheel off to the right, which is so prominent at night. Someone looking down from the press room. We've been waiting for the Audi machine here, I don't know what we call it, to give people a thrilling ride down, but we're apparently not going to see that. It's capable of it, but
Audi have hired this machine, which is a thrill ride. They drag you up there, then drop you from goodness knows how high. But they have actually hired it to take their guests up there, where you have the most stunning view of the Porsche curves and the circuit.
But the only thing they didn't do right is they put it into slow motion for their own personal guests. In the middle of the night, they turned it over to the general public, and what they do is they bring it up and then just drop it straight down from a height, and scares the living daylights out of so many people. But Audi, when they had their own dignitaries on there, they left it in slow motion.
Len Hunt wouldn't like that.
what wussies.
As we continue to watch the leader in the GT class and the lame duck. This car did make it back to the pits. It is back out on its way. Welcome back. Speed Vision's unprecedented live coverage of the biggest endurance motorsports event in the world. This is the platform that all the major manufacturers since 1923 has used to make a statement about how good their cars are. And the storylines at the top of our show, number one was awesome Audi. And as we've seen this event unfold, they have shown us that they are awesome. Not only are they fast, and are they reasonably reliable, but if they get themselves in trouble through driver error, they can react in the pits quicker than anything we've ever seen in the history of Le Mans.
Number two, will Mario's dream come true? Answer, no. Is it a nightmare instead? No, definitely not. He's having a wonderful drive right now, but this will not be the year in which he completes that wonderful cycle that Graham Hill completed of the World Championship, the Indy 500, and Le Mans. Not for Mario this year, David.
And you have to say that time's got to be running out for Mario.
At 60 years young.
Yeah. Caddy returns. Well, it certainly has returned, and I don't think they've disgraced themselves at all. The car was up to 4th spot there behind the 3 Audis. The DAMS car, a privately run team, but of course, as you said earlier on, that's already involved in the World Sports Car Championship, so they've actually had some races. They've got a little bit more practice in the factory cars. Unfortunately, their suspension broke, and it broke right in the wrong place. I mean, it broke right here in front of the pits, and they had to drag 8.5 miles around to get it in, and it's still in the garage now. But I think that Cadillac will certainly be back, and I'm sure that they've had an incredible object lesson at this race of how to run a team from Audi.
And our storyline number 4, of course, is American muscle cars in a head-to-head battle here. And this is a story not only we have followed closely, the Europeans have followed closely, because it was featured in the English Autosport magazine as a lead-up to Le Mans, a preview of the battle between the Corvettes and the Vipers. And it has been the fight of the race here. Currently, the Viper number 51 is in 7th place overall, leading the GTS category. The Viper number 53 is 2nd in the GTS category, as you see a bit of a problem going on, and then the Corvette is right behind them in P12 overall. Calvin, you down there?
Well, a problem with the 52 machine, they had trouble during the night with a broken rocker, and as he came in, Mark Duez turned it over to Heisman. They pulled off the wheel. The ducting had come apart in the left rear corner of the car. They went to replace it and decided to go against, so this will probably affect the braking temperatures. You mentioned earlier that we had an internet question about brake temperatures here at Le Mans, and I understand from the carbon industry guy that when they glow red hot, they're seeing temperatures of between 1,400 and 1,600 degrees, guys.
Well, that was a question by Ranjit Thankar, and we enjoy getting him the exact facts. We have another one from Kim Yazel. It says, speaking of tires, are they using nitrogen to inflate the tires? The answer is yes. And Derek, there's a good reason.
Reason being, nitrogen does not have moisture, and therefore they can keep the tire pressures more consistent over a variety of temperature changes. Andrew?
Yes, when I was a lad reporting races which Sam and David were in, I used to sit up at those seats. You see, that was the press area. There's about, I suppose, about 150 seats, the likes of the famous journalists like Gregor Grant and, of course, Pete Lyons from America, who's here this weekend, incidentally. That's where we used to sit and report. Well, now, of course, there's a massive press room. It's probably the biggest press room at any racetrack in the world. And I'm told by the woman who runs it that there's 2,000 accredited press. Also, when I used to come here in the old days, if we wanted to get to the paddock area, we had to walk about quarter of a mile around. Now there's a tunnel basically where I'm standing underneath it. It's very easy to go from the outside area to the inside, so it's definitely easier working here today.
Okay, you mentioned Pete Lyons. In fact, he and his wife Leona are here enjoying the festivities of the Le Mans 24-hour race. We'll be back. As we watch this, this is the DAMS Cadillac. They have repaired it. That left rear suspension, the bodywork, all the damage. They're going to send him back out again. Look, they're trying to keep the cameras away.
Well, just at the same moment, in comes the Courage. You see it coming in here. And Andrew Marriott, Andrew, with the Courage in the pits, we have a question from Ed Forrest. Tell us a bit about the Peugeot engine in that car, would you?
Yeah, it's very interesting. In fact, you see a lot of Peugeot over the back. We say Peugeot over here, you know. This is a brand new V6 motor. It's based on a production car motor. It's 3.2 litres. It's turbocharged, a 60-degree V6. It's giving some 670 horsepower, I'm told. And this is an official Peugeot project. In fact, in the press kit, there was a message from the president of Peugeot saying how important this was. But this is based on a brand new saloon car that they're producing here in France. And really, this is one of the big stories of the race, just how well this particular motor car has gone. And this engine, which I don't think has ever raced before, except at Silverstone a few weeks ago. Well, Bourdais takes the car back out again. He's double stinting there, but that engine very impressive.
Very
63 car, Justin Bell is going to be bringing it in here shortly. With the front engine car, it's really burning the guys. Maybe when you really get on that metal pedal is the fact that you really have a really burn. Should be in pit. So much success over the past couple of years in NASCAR competitions, sports car, certainly was very the car right now, so up top.
Yeah, that was a great picture. I'm not sure I've seen a pair of boots for a road racer. NASCAR boys do this quite a bit for a road racer, though. I'm not sure I've seen asbestos as heavily clad around a pair of racing boots.
But remember, Ron Fellows has run NASCAR.
Yes, he's done this
probably
before.
exactly where it comes from.
Well, of course, these front-engine cars with exhaust pipe coming under the car, there is just no way when the ambient temperature gets as high as it is today that you can keep that car cool.
Plus, it's so loud in there, David. It is so loud.
Look at the sweat on that crew member's uniform as he runs around.
Well, it is 90 degrees here. We just saw the thermometer a moment ago with the clock with an hour and a half to go. It's just right at about 89 degrees, so that's very, very warm in that car.
Young Patrick Fellows, who is 3 years old yesterday, is in Toronto as we speak, watching his daddy do a great job here, trying to take this American muscle car fight, Corvette versus Viper, all the way to the end here. The Corvette is maybe half a step behind, but they're still a long way to go.
Ron Fellows had a chance to drive for the Cadillac team, passed up on that to drive the Corvette instead, and he seems to have wound up on his feet. He's certainly the kingpin on that team right now.
And we're going to try and get Calvin to hang around that pit and grab Justin Bell, because I love to get these guys right out of the cars, because you see the sweat, you see the color, you see the flush face. Look at this here.
Good battle on the road there, not for position, but a good comparison between the speed of the Audi and the Panos. The Audi just a hair faster pretty much everywhere around this track, but not much.
Look at Justin Bell. Look at this. He cannot even get his helmet off. He is so fatigued. Just look at this. Now, this is an idea of the physical effort drivers must put in to try and bring these cars home, particularly in a battle as furious as the GTS battle here. This is maybe a little bit more than we thought here.
She's throwing water on him.
I think
There's a big problem down here, guys.
Calvin?
Justin came in and he didn't look good. He sort of like looked at me and waved his eyes, and he got in, and I think he almost fainted in his helmet. They're struggling now to get that undone. Looks like he's back conscious again, but this is a scary moment for this team. He said he wasn't feeling good before he got in the car, and these are scary moments for this team. His wife is there, and Chris Neufeld helps him off. They need to get the doctor in here quickly. I believe they have their nutritionist with him. They're going to try and lift him up. They're trying to get some fluids into Justin. He does not look good. They're trying to take him out back, get him on the ground, get him revived. Scary moments here in the vet pit, but it tells you what this race is all about. This is an endurance one. They're trying to elevate his feet, try and get him going here. This is a scary moment for Justin and his whole family and the team here, but I think he's going to be okay. I just think momentarily he may have just fainted for a few seconds there. He's moving around. And right now he's talking to the crew. He said he's okay. I think he just lost consciousness momentarily.
Dehydration, of course, is the big problem. Remember, you cannot take fluids in as quickly as they leave your body in extreme temperature situations. So you got to try and drink almost constantly. Chris Neufeld, one of his teammates, told us earlier in the week he was going to try and gain 10 pounds of water weight because they just knew if it was a hot day, they were going to sweat and lose so much energy. And Calvin, I think you may be about to get thrown out here, but we wanted to bring in these pictures. They are dramatic pictures of a driver, of the physical effort they must put in when they're in a head-to-head battle here for honors at the biggest motor racing event, endurance event in the world.
Well, of course, as we said, those front-engine cars are incredibly hot, and I was carted off to the medical center at Mid-Ohio one year, and also at Road Atlanta, when of course your body temperature gets to the point where it does become critical, and unless your temperature is brought down, I mean, you can do some serious damage to yourself.
It might be ironic that Justin Bell left the Viper team to move to the Chevrolet Corvette team because he believed it had the staying power and the ability to eventually beat them. Calvin, you got more?
Well, nothing really, Derek. The crew believes he's okay. They just asked us if we would leave the area, of course. Kind of sensitive moments there when you have a guy down like that, but Justin was talking to the crew. He was moving okay, so I don't think there's anything to really worry about, guys. But, you know, when you see his eyes go like that inside the helmet, that is scary stuff. And suddenly everyone realized it wasn't just he was tired, he really had a big problem inside the helmet.
And his dad, Derek Bell, of course, won this race 5 times, is back in the States doing the Formula One broadcast later on for Fox Television. Obviously anxious moments for him, but his dad went through this before, David, as have you, as we all have, extreme temperature situations in the long-distance races. So we're going to keep you updated on the physical condition of Justin Bell as that GTS battle is still fierce.
It worked extremely well at Porsche. I knew Laurent and Stefan beforehand, and so that made the acclimatization at that time extremely easy. And we found it was simple to all join together again.
No doubt about our possibilities to be all good together, and also we've got more experience than 2 years ago, so it should be better for sure.
We all get on very well with Stefan and Alan. Also outside motor racing, so I'm very pleased to be back in Le Mans together with those two drivers.
It was actually a question that Dr. Ulrich asked me back in December when I first spoke to them. And he said, you know, the possibility of this might be there, are you interested? And for me it was quite simple, it was a definite yes. I don't know if it would be the secret ingredient to winning the race a second time or not, but there's one thing we do know, that it works as a formula.
Great piece on the three amigos. Now, if they win again as a team, they become only the second driver lineup in 77 years to win in different makes of cars. Only Jackie Ickx and Derek Bell, who we mentioned earlier, did it before in the Golf Mirage car in 75 and the Porsche in 1980 and 81.
Now down to Andrew Marriott, who I'm told has a story with a Derek Daly twist, which sounds very sinister to me. Andrew?
Derek, where are all the Irishmen racing in this event?
He might be with you.
He is, actually. He's actually from Belfast. John Graham, now Canadian. You're having an excellent run with this Lola and winning this 675 class.
Well, you know, the team have done a lot of work. Lola's given us a good car, and it's just our fingers are crossed right now.
Now, you first came to this race many years ago, maybe 15, 16 years ago, you first came to Le Mans.
Yeah, 1984, I came here with Obermeyer in a 956 and didn't know really much about Le Mans, and I think old age has made me respect it and fear it. We're just going to wait now and see what happens.
Now, I seem to remember you racing the Frisbee Can-Am car as well.
Yeah, we did Can-Am for a number of years. People like Danny Sullivan used to go by me so quick, it was fun. You know, but that was back in the Gordon Lightfoot days, and done a lot of other racing, came here with Gebhardt. It's just an unbelievable event.
But what about today's run? I mean, you've had a tremendous run with this car. Early problems, but it's run faultlessly for the last, 15 hours or so?
Yeah, we had a problem, I guess, early in the evening, and the crew did a good job. We had a gearbox problem, sorted it out, and everybody's driven pretty cautiously, almost defensively, if you will, and stuck to a time and ran that time, and you know, we got an hour and a half to 2.5 hours to go, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, yes, for you, and it's amazing who you find down here and the careers they've had, you know.
Exactly, yeah. He doesn't quite sound like an Irishman. We're going to have to send him back over there to Paddyland, give him a couple of pints of Guinness and get him to talk with a bit of the old bro. He actually, he's been here 4 different times. Like his first actual motor race was in a Chevron 2-liter, 1981 in the Can-Am series. So good job, John Graham, to be still around and running well.
We see Team Dragon, the 2 Japanese entries, the Panos cars running nose to tail as if they're already getting ready for the photograph at the finish. That is still 2 hours and 12 minutes away, so perhaps it's a little premature. But what is not premature is to point out that this is the only team, I believe, that is intact at this point, other than Audi.
They have run like freight trains. I mean, they really have. They're not actually in a battle for position, because the number 23 Panos, which is that car right there, is running in 5th place. The number 22 is well back down the list.
And I take that back. I noticed the Corvettes are both in there and both running very well. So there are 3 teams that are intact. Quite something to bring a team here, run 22 hours, and still have your full team out there on the track.
And this is the customer version of the Panos car. It is not really the works effort. However, they are in the garage right next door to them as Tom Christensen. We watch him. This is a driver change. You can see he undoes the belts and undoes the radio on the helmet as he comes down, so as he can just pop right out of the car and not waste precious seconds. Calvin?
Christensen brings it in, and Manuel Pirro waits. He hits his marks perfectly, he hops out. The driver change is being done as we speak, of course. They can do that while the fuel goes in. The rest of the team wait. They will be changing tyres. It'll be interesting to see with just over 2 hours to go. I would imagine that Pirro will try and take it to hopefully the checkered flag here this afternoon and try and score victory once again for Jost. This time, the number 8 machine is looking good, not that legendary number 7. But these guys have done a great job here. Tom was chomping at the bit to get behind the wheel, but Beeler was doing a great job this morning. He handed over to Tom. Tom's done a triple, and now he's handing over to his last teammate. So the fuel is in. They're now going to change over. He gets a quick pat on the head from Tom saying, "Bring it home for me, mate." And the crew goes to work.
You mentioned Calvin, the legendary number 7. The Jost team has always had the starting number 7, and on 4 occasions it won Le Mans with that particular number.
Now, Stephen Davis emails us that he was chatting at Audi.com with Tom Christensen just earlier this morning, and he confirmed that the team leader Ulrich was emphatic about staying off the curbs. Remember the controversy about the problems they were having that were a result of bouncing off the curbs, and that Ulrich also said that there were no team orders, at least not yet. So that's hot information from the team that is leading this race. Stay with us.
With just over 2 hours remaining in the race, welcome back to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The number 9 machine, currently running second, is just pitted. Laurent Ariello has jumped out, and they're now going to release that Scottish Terrier, little Alan McNish. He's been ready for it. He's been chomping at the bit. He's finally got the chance to chase down that number 8 and try and steal victory from his teammates.
And it should be a good fight now as McNish gets behind the wheel. He holds the fastest lap of the race. He also holds the second fastest lap of the race. And in fact, he set 8 of the top 10 fastest laps of this race was set by this car with this driver. So this could be a great fight. Remember, they have no team orders as long as they don't abuse the car. Andrew, you have one of the history makers at the Le Mans 24-hour race.
Well, actually, I have his father, Kevin Jeanette, here, and it's a tale of sorry woe here. Kevin, the car is in real trouble.
Yeah, the car's in big trouble, but we think we might be past it now. We had a cracked cylinder a few hours back in the race while we were running for position, for maybe 5th position. We had to think of something to keep the car running, so we came in, added water to see how fast it would leak out. Went back out on the circuit, of which it leaked out in about 4 laps. The motor was destined to blow up. We brought the car back in. We took a spark plug out of the cylinder so the motor would actually run on 5 cylinders, but the cracked cylinder would not grow because the cylinder wasn't getting fed with combustion. We hoped at that point we could milk it for what we're trying to do, which is get the distance of the percentage of the leaders or the person that wins the race to be able to be a finisher. We had to complete 26 more laps, and we have to run the last lap to take the checkered flag. If we accomplish this, Gunnar, my son, the young pilot on the team, will be the youngest driver ever at Le Mans to finish.
That's a great story. Another good story, I think you re-prepared or rebuilt the Le Mans car that Steve McQueen drove, is that correct?
We rebuilt, it wasn't actually the car that Steve, I mean, we had our hands on the movie car, but we rebuilt 917s that Steve probably drove. Sebring winner and a Daytona winner.
Kevin Jeanette, thanks for talking to you. Let's hope we get this car back out on the road and your son gets that finish he so deserves.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just an update on that. Even with the trouble they're in, they're still in the top 25, running 25th. They are still P6 in class.
Mike Cuddy, a math instructor from the Mitchell High School in Oldsmar, Florida, asks, could the organizers make escape roads from the pit area to different points around the track so that if you had a flat or some problem, you could drive a little more directly back? Now, a math teacher would think of that.
That is a great idea, and believe it or not, they did that at McNish in France when they built the new Grand Prix track. There is a slip road on the inside of the complete racetrack to allow just that type of access. Calvin, you're there with Alboreto?
Yes, Alboreto jumps out. He's turning it over to Christian Abt, and I would imagine that all three drivers now in the Audi cars will take it to the finish. We have Abt will complete the duties in the 7 machine. Of course, we had Pirro in the 8 car, the lead car, and McNish in the 9 car. So looks like routine. Typically driver change. We will see a tyre change as well, just because you're going to be delayed on the pit stop anyway, and also it gives the new driver a fresh set of tyres, not worried about anything that the previous driver may have done and not be knowing about. So the team goes to work, rears it done, and look how quickly they move around this car and get this tyre change done. It is amazing, the efficiency. I haven't seen one botched pit stop by this Yost team all day. Unbelievable.
Also, the energy of the Yost team is just
amazing, isn't it?
incredible at this stage of the race.
Did they just change the front tyres?
Yes, they did change the fronts. They must be platooning that crew, because I can't believe a crew has come all the way through and is still able to work that fast.
Just a follow-up to Kevin Jeanette's interview with Andrew Maria, to do another 26 laps for his son to be classified as a finisher and go into the history books. It will take 1 hour and 44 minutes. And he doesn't have enough.
Oh, I don't like this left front of the...
This is Mario.
Panos.
This is Mario behind the wheel. Another flat tire, and part of the splitter is gone.
Oh, look,
yikes.
It's a result of contact with the wall.
That'll do it.
Mario, yes, it certainly will. Mario Andretti.
Is that where I think it is? Is that on the fast run down to
Indianapolis?
Indianapolis?
Yeah, but well, if it is, did the tire blow first? And that put Mario off the road?
Jeepers.
We got the pictures a little bit late, so you can't speculate, but Mario has been off the road, hit the barrier. We do not know whether that is cause or effect.
Actually, that was, I think, coming to the Porsche curves.
Okay. Andrew, can you add to the Jeanette story?
No, I was just going to pick up on that email about driving internally, or they do, of course, have a lot of internal roads here. And in the qualifying and in the test days, if somebody breaks down, every so often they send a truck out to that point and they bring them back on the internal roads.
But you can't do that in the race. You've got to go round the racetrack. That's part of racing.
One of those roads leads by the original site where the Wright brothers, of all people, first flew their Wright Flyer here in Europe. A couple of years after they flew at Kitty Hawk, they brought it over here, and here's Mario.
Oh, he's in trouble. The tire's gone down before he gets to the corner.
Oh,
that's what happened.
Boy, oh boy.
Yikes. He's doing what, 120?
That is a
30 miles an hour as he leaves the road?
I think, yeah, he's doing more than that. That's that right-hander before. He's probably doing 190 going
That's where the Mercedes went off last year. That's very scary business.
Oh, so glad we got that picture. Tire well and truly down, blue smoke out of the Panos before Mario.
That's when you're 60 years old, you're sitting in there thinking, now maybe I should have stayed at home now.
Yeah, that left-hander you saw, ironically, was Indianapolis.
Calvin? Calvin, can you see anything?
Yes, I'm here, guys. Sorry about that. There's another car coming in here, the number 12 machine, but Mario brought it in. I spoke to Dave Price. He wasn't sure what happened. They believe the tire may have blown on Mario. A lot of damage to the left front corner. They're asking Mario to jump out. They will do a driver change here and probably have Brabs or maybe Magnus to complete the rest of the run if they can get the car fixed. I'm going to go inside the garage, try and take a quick look here, see what sort of damage has been done to the car. Doesn't look too bad, but difficult to say at this point. Looks like there may be a lower wishbone, probably. Certainly the front under tray is badly torn up. And crew is frantically going to work here. They want to get him back out or get the car back out, try and effect a repair. And we'll try and get a word with Mario here, see if we can see what happened. He still's got his helmet on. Try and stick my microphone in here.
Calvin, you couldn't see the pictures, Calvin, but we could see blue smoke pouring from that car before he actually left the road.
Okay, Derek, I'm still in the garage area, of course.
Great.
Mario's over here. What happened, Mario?
Left front went flat entering Indianapolis, so when I felt it, I was already committed to turn, went straight in the grass and touched the guardrail.
Must have been a scary moment. This is one heck of a corner down there coming down from high speed.
Yeah, it's very quick, and actually I got away with one, actually.
We're glad you did, Mario. The crew's going to work. They're strapping Magnussen in, and they're going to try and effect a repair, but it's tough with bodywork torn up like this.
You know what? You could hear the emotion in his voice. That scared Mario. He did get away with one. That is almost 119 miles an hour on a downhill braking right-hander. Look at this, David.
This is flat out just before you put the brakes on. You would be putting the brakes on about where he hits that guardrail. So right before that, that left front tire went, or the suspension collapsed. You could see the smoke coming off it across that guard. Boy, I tell you what, he just